What is good, all of our listeners and viewers? Welcome back to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And I'm so self-conscious about my hairline. Woo! We're here with episode 112 with our special guest, Wombat of the CAGcast. But first, we've got some segments for you. Yes, we do.
Yep.
How to insult Adam. Class 101. Insult his hairline. There you go. But I definitely noticed it on one of our videos. I won't say which one. But
Your hair looks fine.
Here's the thing. People like to insult me on, the comments. I'm like, you know that just rolls off my back. I know I suck at everything. Little episode 101 for you. Make fun of my hairline. Hooray! I know it looks fine, but just like it's one of those things that you know it's fine. Like everybody that looks at you, it's just like, what are you talking about? It's what I mean?
I do.
Yeah, where
Go ahead.
Oh, like where everybody thinks it's fine, but you think it's like the worst thing in the world.
When I was in high school, I realized my hips are uneven. One hip sits higher than the other.
Oh.
And
I didn't know that.
Exactly. No one else noticed, but I remember looking for prom dresses and I saw it and I was like, Mom, you can tell my hips aren't even. She's like, Elizabeth, no one can tell.
Yeah.
I was like, but I know.
But yeah, so let's just get the show rolling.
Okay.
So if you're here for Wombat, by the way, we've got timestamps for you.
Yeah.
Because it's the American podcast. You can do with this what you want. It's
whatever you want.
Follow your dreams. But yeah, if you want to just fast forward to Wombat, if you want to fast forward to the gaming news, it's you, dude. But we provide timestamps for you as always. But before we get to that, we want to share with you our social media pages. Oh, wow. We're on Twitter at Gaming Groceries, or you can follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
You can also follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word, where you can see little memes here and there, some good stories. I promise I'll be posting sometime soon. The only reason why I haven't been posting too much is that I want us like a little behind the scenes, but nothing's happening right now.
We're not doing much right now.
So it's kind of like, I'll post this, but
look at us sitting on the couch watching Vikings.
Pretty much. It's like nothing's going on right now. So I want to post more, but it's like, I don't know. Like there's nothing going on. But I will ask you questions that relates to the discussion of the podcast. Today we're talking about politics and video games, and I'll ask you on Twitter, Instagram. Oh, also we're on Facebook. Check us out there, and we'll ask you these questions, and I would love your feedback to get you in on the discussion. Check out our website, gamesandgroceries.com, where you can listen to all the podcasts from the website, as well as where you can find out where all the audio versions of the web. Damn it. All the audio
versions of the podcast.
Thank you. As well as some articles I've written in the past. And by the way, we also have another podcast, What's the Biz? You can find it wherever you find podcasts. It's just a lot more chill. And that's it. It's just more of us just talking about really anything. And we have, some of our friends come on. So, check that out too. Link down below. And if you're watching us on YouTube, how you doing? You doing good? Cool. Oops.
That hurt.
So great that you're here. Definitely hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know when all these episodes come out, as well as our weekly discussion videos. And if you haven't yet, you're listening to us on audio, definitely give us a rating over at Podchaser or on iTunes. Give us your honest feedback so that we can move up in the ranks in the podcasting world.
Woohoo.
With all that said and done, I said about the timestamps, the social media, the website, the subscribe and review. I think that's it. So
I think so.
Let's just jump into our first segment.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we saw in the past week, whether we on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, not in theaters at this point in time, not anytime soon. Thanks, Tenet. And we like to give it a ranking, a review, or a recommendation, or not a recommendation. We have a 5-point system, whether it be avoid at all costs, pass, enjoyable, solid, and perfect for us. So, this week's movie can be found on Hulu. It is a movie starring Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively, and it is called A Simple Favor.
Woo!
Overall thoughts, let's go.
I enjoyed it. It was like, it's not so much like a dramedy, but it's like a drama with like cool comedy in it. But I wouldn't classify it as a dramedy. Like it wasn't enough comedy to be considered that, in my opinion. But I liked it. I love these actresses. I love Blake Lively and I love Anna Kendrick. So yeah, I mean, overall, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good. I would watch again.
So let's get into my notes.
Yeah.
The intro has a completely messy tone. It's completely a mess. This is where we disagree.
Yeah.
The movie doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like you said, like it's not really a dramedy. It's not a comedy. It's not a drama.
Yeah.
The whole thing is kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Even in the beginning, it's like it got some quirky humor, but also
it's got some
my
good...
friend is missing. But also, hey, I'm just Anna Kendrick. But also, oh no, things are serious right now.
It's like it's got some good suspense parts for me.
I'll get to that.
Okay, well, it's got like some good suspense parts, but it's also not a suspense movie.
That's the thing. It doesn't know what it is.
It's like a bunch of different genres, and you don't really know what to classify it under. Like you'll probably find it under every genre on Netflix.
But that doesn't make it a good thing. The way I described this movie so far,
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing either.
I'll get to it.
I know.
The way I would describe it is that this movie is like mashed potatoes with Reese Pieces in it.
Ew.
Mashed potatoes are good. Reese Pieces are also good. You put them together, you get a not so good thing.
Well,
and not only that, but it's two different flavors. It doesn't go together in the way of that. Now, it's got too much quirky humor. By the way, I'll say it. I do not like Paul Feig movies. Don't like them. I don't like Bridesmaids. I didn't like the new Ghostbusters. I was going to say female Ghostbusters. It doesn't matter. The new Ghostbusters. It really doesn't matter. What was the other one I didn't like that he made? The Heat. Didn't like that. But Paul Feig, I don't like his comedy too much.
Yeah.
I think he's too much. That's the thing. And some people like it. Good for you. Like you. But that's the thing.
I don't like any of the movies you just listed.
Yeah. Also, Last Christmas. He directed Last Christmas.
I didn't mind Last Christmas. It wasn't my favorite, though.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing about the suspense point. The pacing of this movie is the pacing of a comedy when trying to give you suspense. And meaning that comedy is very much on timing. And so is suspense. And here's the problem with that. Comedy in terms of bits, you want to go fast paced, boom, boom, boom. You want to hit them hard. Whereas suspense, you need time to like chew on it, like realize it and understand that something deep happened.
Yeah.
But whenever something deep happened in this movie, it had the pacing of a comedy,
where it was like you figured out the suspense within the next scene or two.
Exactly. It was just like, by the way, this happened, and then like the next scene happens because Paul Feig he runs under a comedy pacing.
Yeah.
Whereas a much better movie, which you can so I'm gonna get there. For realization in this movie, it doesn't leave you enough suspense and time to chew on it. Whereas I'm going to go to my last note. This just felt like Paul Feig saw Feig, I don't know.
Whatever.
He saw Gone Girl, which, by the way, David Fincher is one of the best directors to ever walk this earth. In terms of thriller suspense movies, he made Zodiac and he made Gone Girl, which this movie is definitely based on. But it seems like he saw this movie and said, you know what this needs? Humor, quirky humor, but it's just too much. Now, the way I think this movie could have worked, definitely could have worked, is if he set this up as a spoof. Like if he titled it, like instead of Gone Girl, he like if he said Missing Chick, where it's like, it's such a ridiculous name that you're going to get into a spoof, I
understand, but I feel like this still wouldn't match that spoof type movie because
no, that's the thing. It's not a spoof movie.
that would be more along the lines of something that I wouldn't like, because I was thinking, I'm like, maybe the reason I like this more than his other comedies is because the suspense part kind of toned him down.
Well, that's what I mean. It felt like he struggled with that. He was trying to be David Fincher, and he's not. Nobody's David Fincher. Are you David Fincher? No, you're not. I'm not David Fincher.
What if he is?
Oh, David Fincher? You're there? Oh, my goodness. Hi. Want to come on the podcast? That'd be great. Thanks, David Fincher.
Anyway.
Anyways, but no, that's the thing. He tried to be David Fincher, but he also worked under what he runs best at. And that's the thing. I'm not trying to fault Paul Feig into running on his own game, because that's the thing. I respect anybody who enjoys those movies.
Yeah.
It's just not me, but he's running under his own kind of medium, and yet he's still trying to be David Fincher. If he made this a spoof, I would have appreciated this more.
Yeah.
But all the humor is undeserved in all of this, because that's the thing. He's trying to be serious, and then out of nowhere, he's like, "Oh, also funny."
I liked the funny parts. I laughed at all of them.
I'm going to go into my final ranking, and then you can go into yours.
Okay.
Out of our 5-point system, I said avoid at all costs. Avoid this movie. I think it's just a mess. I don't think that the tone really set itself well. I think he's trying to be too much like David Fincher, but also trying to be Paul Feig. I give this movie avoid at all costs. Not even a pass, avoid at all costs.
I gave it almost on the totally other end of the spectrum. I give it a solid. This is where you can clearly see yours and my difference in the way we watch movies, that you're way more analytical, whereas I look just for the enjoyment of the movie.
It wasn't even enjoyable.
Yes, it was. Because so for me, I gave it a solid because like I said, I laughed at all the comedy. I thought it was all in the right spot.
No, what?
No, this is not your rating. It is mine. Whoosh.
Avoid.
Whoosh.
Avoid like Noid.
So I really enjoyed the comedy. I liked where it was. I liked the way they did it. He didn't go too like raunchy like he does in his other movies that are comedies.
He wasn't raunchy, but there was 4 very oddly paced sex scenes.
Well, yes. But in comparison to Bridesmaids, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I really liked that part. And the suspense, there were some surprises that I saw coming.
Yeah.
Like I saw a couple things, but like that, the last scene was probably like my favorite because like I didn't know how it was going to end. Almost like they kept like teasing what the end was going to be and then it would change. And I liked it. And he's looking at me like he's disgusted with me.
You know how it ends? Paul Feig says, like, Senpai David Fincher, can you please respect me? Senpai, thank you. That's what he said.
But I really enjoy this movie. I would watch this again. Like, I would watch this with Lane.
If you're like me, watch Gone Girl instead. If you haven't seen Gone Girl.
And that's the thing. I don't remember Gone Girl.
Ah!
Honey, I haven't seen it since I was 19 when it came out.
We have to watch Gone Girl again.
Okay. I only watched it once. You know the rule. I have to watch it at least 3 times to remember it.
Gone Girl was so good.
It was. I remember being amazed when I got out of the theater.
The book was better.
I didn't
as
even
always.
know it was a book.
Yeah, no, it was a book first. As always, the book is always better.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I believe you. Like I said, I just don't remember Gone Girl because I haven't seen it since it was in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really remember what it was about. Like
Yeah.
I remember it was out, but I don't at all. So yeah, but I really enjoyed this movie.
So that's Movie Minutes for you. The movie, again, is called A Simple Favor. It's on Hulu. Avoid it.
No, watch it.
If you're like me, you're more analytical. You take movies a little bit more seriously in terms of like looking at it. Avoid it. But if you're like Liz, you're just in for a good time. She gave it a solid.
I will say, though, that it's not something where I'm like, you must watch it. Like, you have to go watch it. It's more of like...
That's a solid. That's what solid means.
No.
You're changing the rules.
That's not what it means to me. To me, go watch it now is a, like, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I guess. But,
so, I'm saying, I'm not saying, like, go watch it. Like, it's something that you have to go watch. But it's like, if you're interested in it, definitely watch it.
Yeah. I respectfully disagree. Okay, on to our second segment.
Top 3
gaming news.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week, and we like to rank it 3, 2, 1 just to give you a condensed version of what's going on in the gaming industry. What do you think about this, business twins?
Oh, no.
Business twins on our PowerPoint. Hooray.
You can just do the top 3 with them then.
Fellas. So yeah, another weird gaming news week. Really with that is that it was more rumor based this week, and I got some gaming news. I got top 3.
We got some for you.
Yeah, and it is what it is. More rumor based this week, but there are some pretty weird. It was a weird news week, so. Let's go with the number 3 gaming news. It's about Konami.
Woohoo!
Yeah, Konami is coming out with a new game. Oh, wait, sorry. Got some people in my ear. No, not a game, but a gaming PC. Oh boy. So yeah, Konami is coming out with a game. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. That
looks fun.
Yeah. But Konami is making the Aurasphere. I forget how to pronounce it. I looked it up and I forgot. The Aurasphere PCs are being made by Konami with some separate peripherals. Now, there's some low-end ones and some high-end ones, right? And I believe there's a mid-tier as well. But the low-end is going for, in terms of American dollars. Now, the interesting part about this is that it's only releasing in Japan. There's no U.S. states. But in terms of the price points, and in terms of American dollars, it's $1,750. And it comes with a GTX 1650, which is pretty okay. Yeah, that's good. And the high-end PC is going up for $3,200 American with an RTX 2070. So, pretty good. And then I got this quote from the article right here. The other Aurasphere products include a K100F full and a K100L reduced sized keyboards. So both of them have the keyboards, both of which use compactive non-contact keys with adjustable attuction points. Oh, good job, Adam.
Actuation points.
Thank you, Lizzie. The Auraspeak H100 headphones, meanwhile, promise, quote unquote, a high quality and powerful sound. So there's keyboards, some headsets, all coming from Konami, who made the Konami code.
Woohoo!
Oh boy. But yeah. So what are your thoughts?
That's a lot of money.
Not for a gaming PC, and especially the low end one.
I just mean in general.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of money.
Yeah.
It sounds nice. I don't really know much about gaming PCs.
Yeah.
Like the headphones sound awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't know any of those words that were used in that quote. Like what's non-contact keys or actuation? What?
I don't want to explain it. Like,
that's what I mean. Like I don't really have much comment. I don't understand.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just but
things.
Yeah. So that's the thing is that, okay, it's like one of those things that good job, Konami. Now it's only releasing in Japan, so maybe there's more of a market there. It's releasing in Japan in December, and there's no US release yet. I don't think
maybe one of those things, and maybe it'll come to America in like a few years, but it won't be like a big deal.
See, that's the thing is that I don't think this is going to sell well in the US, especially with all the PC options that we have. Absolutely.
That's true.
Like we have. If we're gonna get now here in the States, I'm not sure about Japan. I might be wrong.
Maybe we have to wait and see how it does in Japan. You know
well, like
what I
that's
mean?
the thing. It's like I'm not sure about the gaming PC market in Japan, where I'm not sure if they buy pre-builts. Like, but here in the States, like there's pride in
building your own.
Yeah, even in Australia, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know about Japan's gaming PC market. Whereas if you like try to sell a pre-made here, it's like Walmart did it.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, so good on you, Konami.
Yeah. Have fun.
Yeah, that's really all it is. It's like have fun. I think it's a crazy idea, but you're doing it in Japanese market, so maybe it'll do well. Hopefully, good on you, Konami. But let's move on to the number 2 gaming news. It's about AMD, another gaming PC company.
Woohoo!
Except we're going to talk about next gen systems. So the AMD CEO, Lisa Su, actually came out and said that nothing's delayed. Everything's fine. The virus didn't delay anything.
That's disturbing. It should have.
So with the pandemic pausing a lot of production. And that's what I mean when I said about the Instagram, like, why don't we post more? It's that, like, nothing's happening.
We're not going anywhere.
Life just seems like it's just on pause right now.
Yeah.
Like that's really it. It
does.
Yeah. It seems like nothing's happening. But then the AMD CEO comes out in an earnings meeting, in the second quarter earnings meeting, and says, everything's in production. It's fine. I believe I have the quote right here. If it would open. Awesome. Let's see if it opens now. But yeah, so she comes out while we're waiting for this to load for some odd reason. Okay, it's just not going to load. Great. Okay, so I'm not going to read the quote. But I always have it saved there. But that's the thing, is that Lisa Su came out and said that, listen, oh, hey, there we go.
I have the magic touch.
Yee. Sue shared, so this is the quote from the article, linked down below. Sue shared that part of AMD's success this past quarter came from its Ryzen 4000 mobile processors, which power an increasing number of very good laptops that, for the most part, offer a lot of power and solid battery life for the money. In fact, Sue stated that the revenue from these processors ramped up, quote unquote, faster than any mobile processor in our history. So they seem to be making an impression with people who are shopping for laptops and those made for gaming and otherwise. So she's trying to quote saying that these mobile processors are the reason why they can just ramp up production and nothing's going out of production. But the good news about this, here's my point, is that the good part about all of these are coming out, nothing's being delayed, is that what's powering the next gen systems, PS5 and Xbox Series X, is an AMD processor. So they're being put out. She even said that the next gen consoles they're ramped up for production. We're good. Everything's set, but they also close out saying that they're still expecting some uncertainty throughout the year, but next gen is still on target.
Yeah.
Anything? Would you like to add anything?
That was so professional.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, like she said, it's great if it doesn't slow down and they're able to keep going. But also, we have no idea where this year's gonna go. Exactly. We still have 5 months left of the year. So who knows what'll happen?
It really is. Yeah. So we'll see. But they said that it's still on track. We're still good. Boom. That's really all I have to say on it. Is that, like, good on you, AMD, ramping up production. Actually, I don't know. Good on you. I don't know how that's happening.
Yeah, I think it's really strange that they haven't been delayed at all, because literally second the virus hit, the all the like PlayStation and Xbox were like might be delayed like immediately, and it's like a lot of people were out of work. Like, did you have people in factories with the virus?
Yeah.
Like, it's confusing how they haven't been slowed down.
Well, especially this coming fall, like, we're all expecting to, at least from my job, we're kind of expecting to be shut down again.
Maybe they're one of those factories that like it's robots that do everything.
Maybe.
Like, so you only need like a few people there to make sure everything's running.
Robots can never get a virus ever.
Not the virus that we have.
Oh, thank you. You got my joke. Actually, I shouldn't joke about that too soon. Oops. I'm sorry, everybody.
Another one of Adam's predictions.
Yeah.
Next thing that we're going to hear about is robots have corona.
Oh, man. Could
you imagine?
I'm just gonna move on because that was just a poor joke. All right.
I still love you.
Halo Infinite, everybody. So Halo Infinite, 343 Productions, 343 Industries. 343 Industries? That doesn't sound right. But anyways, 343 says that they heard you. You all shouted at them. And they heard you, and they'll be making improvements to Infinite's graphics.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. So after the gameplay reveal at the Xbox Online event, a lot of people were kind of really upset from what they saw. Your boy was mixed. I was just like, I see what you're saying. But definitely the pop-in.
That was
kind of horrendous for a next gen system.
Yeah.
And the character models are a little bit 360-esque. I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was mixed on the art style. But they heard you yelling at them, and they said, you know what? We'll do something about that. So there's an article linked down below. Oh my goodness, why is none of my quotes coming up? So there's an article linked down below stating that, oh, there we go. I'll just have you click on the quotes.
Because at work when that happens, it does not work for me.
Huh. So this is coming from the article linked down below. In a comprehensive blog post that covers various hot topics around Halo Infinite, 343 dedicates 3 full paragraphs to the topic of the game's visuals. Essentially, the studio says that they're sticking with the quote-unquote classic art style, which I agree with. I'll get to that in a minute. Yet acknowledges comments about the game's appearing flat, simplistic, and plastic-like, lighting feeling dull and flat, and object pop-in. Accordingly, they have plans to address some of the areas that raise the level of fidelity and overall presentation for the final game. So in terms of the classic art style, yeah, that's a classic art style. It's colorful, it's vibrant. Whereas Halo 4 and 5 were a lot more gritty and realistic. And but if you look back in other Halos, the saturation was popped up. Like there's a lot of color in the old Halo games.
Yeah.
But they're sticking with the classic. They're trying to go back to Halo Combat Evolved, which I agree with. But in terms of the pop-in, the lighting feeling flat, the guns did look plastic. But here's the weird part about all of this. Number one, the gameplay that we saw was on a PC.
Yeah.
With the same specs as a Series X, but on a PC. So it's kind of weird that like...
It's like the same, but not...
Yeah, where it's like, it's technically the same specs, but it's not being played on a series. So it's kind of like, this is what you're going to see, but it's not playing from the thing that's on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, I think that was a strange way of approaching it. Like, why didn't they just use it on the new Xbox?
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is
like
just...
Like, they have Xbox testers.
Mm-hmm.
You have this game tester. So why don't we just put the two together?
Yeah.
And make it work?
I didn't understand that call, but... The other interesting thing is that this game is coming out this holiday.
Yeah.
It's coming out.
Well, it goes back to when the Sonic movie was coming out. And they're like, oh, you don't like the way that we did him? Okay, we'll change it a month before the movie's coming out. Like,
well, they said 6 months. It was delayed. Like,
still.
Yeah.
It was just like to me, like when these things happen, it's like, no, there's no way you were planning on putting it out like that.
Yeah.
Like you already started fixing it. You're just making it seem like you're people pleasing. It
is very odd. But what's cool is that 343 is actually acknowledging it. They're saying that we're planning on fixing it. So it was already a work in progress in general.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting much anyway, but the game is coming out essentially in November, and it's August.
Yep.
So that's the crazy part. Like August, September, October, November, 4 months.
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm glad they heard us, but if this happens last year, I would be like, oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Definitely.
Like, and even then, I would have been like, oh, yeah, it's a year away from.
Of course, it's not perfect, but we're getting to
few months away.
Yeah, like it should be done.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are the top 3 gaming news. Konami making a gaming PC, AMD saying we're in full production, and Halo Infinite is getting some recharge in the graphics. But write your comments down below. What do you think about all of these gaming news? What are your opinions? But yeah, let me hear all of your thoughts in the comments below. But without further ado, I think it's time to bring on our guest. He's a personal idol of mine. I'll say it. He's the reason why I started podcasting in the first place, I'm going to say. But yeah, it's Wombat from the CAGcast. And I'm so excited. Let's just bring him on. No more introductions. Let's bring him on for our final segment.
Coffee time.
We're back, everybody, with our special guest, the man of the hour, the one who is never respected by Cheapy D, Wombat.
Woohoo!
Hey, hey, it's good to be here. Has Cheapy ever been on? No, right?
No, he hasn't. No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
see,
first
I'm better
one.
than him already.
Exactly. I mean, don't tell Cheapy that I haven't had him on the show, but no, I definitely want to have you on, just because one, I mean, I said it to you in the DMs, but to your face, kind of to the webcam that's directed to your face. Definitely, you're a personal idol of mine. You're the reason why I started podcasting. Because on the CAGcast, you're just like a no holds bar kind of person. Like if there's just something to be called out, especially with Breath of the Wild, I'm not going to put you on blast for that. But I agree with you that it's not everybody's game. And it wasn't your game, and that was your opinion. And I appreciated that you actually this is my opinion. Who cares? But
Yeah.
I appreciate it about you. And that's why I started podcasting in the first place, because I wanted to piss people off too.
I don't know if I pissed off that many people. Or
Yeah.
maybe, I actually think I angered more people with my thoughts on Red Dead Redemption 2 than Breath of the Wild.
That's right. I forgot about that.
But I think history has been a lot kinder to me on my Red Dead Redemption opinions.
Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't age too well. I mean, even once it gets nearing the epilogue, not even at the epilogue, it does the same Rockstar game as it does. It overstays its welcome. It always does. And it's just too big of an open world. There's too many horse buttons. That's about it,
Lots of horse buttons.
Lots of nothing.
I
but
think
a horse.
anything more than one horse button is too many.
Actually, that's true. Actually, but but the reason why I wanted to bring you on, Wombat, is because you're also very, very open about your political views, and I wanted to have your take on not only video games but politics in video games. Not recently, but in episode 60, we had Mr. Matty Plays on about the apolitical player. Gamers who just don't even want to think about politics. But now we want to talk about, simply politics in video games in this show. So I think the first thing that we should discuss is just where do we lean politically so that, the audience knows what they're getting into. Wombat, where do you lean politically?
Let's see. How would I do? My wife describes me as painfully liberal. That's the description I get in the house.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you marry a moderate. But yeah, I that's probably I'm probably left of center. Probably
Okay.
sometimes I surprise myself if I get a little too far over, but really 90% of the time I'm basically, if I leaned any more left, I'd be laying on the ground.
And it's funny though, like I hear you talk about it, and it's funny in this political climate, you say any human rights or anything like I'm compassionate for humans. Oh, you're a liberal. Or
yeah.
Or I enjoy human beings being alive. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Wombat leans more, way more.
I wear
left.
masks.
You wear no.
Yeah.
You like human life?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I'll wear a mask.
Yeah.
I think people should earn a living wage. I'm a crazy
No.
person.
Horrible.
It bothers me that 25% of American children are hungry.
That
these
bothers
things.
you?
Wow.
Liberal snowflake.
I know. I
It's
like
crazy.
being able to use the post office.
Oh yeah, But so we got
I'm the
Wombat.
worst. I'm the worst of everything.
So we got a painfully liberal.
Liberal. There you go.
Limperal? Is that what you call
I have
me?
no idea.
Wow. That sounds
That doesn't sound nice at all.
no. Sounds like an insult.
You're struggling with words today, hon.
It sounds worse than snowflake. Oh, look at those limperals.
Whereas Adam and I are green.
Yeah,
party,
we're Green Party. We're registered Green
but
Party.
we do lean slightly left occasionally.
Here's the thing. I was always moderate, but it seems after the 2016 election and I see how red can go, I'm like, I was moderate. I am
Yeah.
Green Party. I'm straight up a Green Party.
Yeah.
I'll vote Jill Stein. I'm voting Howie Hawkins. Fight me. Oh, camera one has been off. You didn't delete the last.
I suck.
So, video listeners, video watchers, you're watching a blank screen for now, but we're fixing that in the few minutes. But yeah, we lean green.
So Green Party, in other words, you make sure your vote doesn't count.
It's well, the reason why we do Green Party, one, I love me my greens and the trees and all that, but also I'm voting for more choices, because if you vote in another party and it gets 5% of the vote, it will be deemed as a legitimate political party and get the national funding so that it can be seen as more of a legitimate party.
But don't you find, like, when you see someone like the Green New Deal?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not saying my party's perfect. Like, I'm not ever going to.
No, I'm saying, but when you see that there are Democratic candidates that support green ideals,
oh yeah.
Would you be inclined to vote for a Democrat with green ideals if you know your vote might help them win? As opposed to your usual method of, oh, here's a toilet, where can I put my vote?
Well, that's the thing. I do believe that Green Party, if you look at that party, it does lean more Democratic than anything else, which is the bright side of things, that they still like human lives. But, hey, what's up, man? But yeah,
that's my son.
Hey, what's
Cameo.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, kid?
Go away.
But that's where we stand politically. I would vote more Democratic, but I'm also voting that I want more choices than just a red or blue, but we can also put some green in there, or some purple if you like independent for some reason. I don't know.
I guess my thought on that concept really is why vote for someone that you know isn't going to win if there is a horse in the race that will do things that you agree with. I'm not saying vote for someone that, if you looked at both candidates and were like, both of these people are ready to burn the world to the ground and I don't like them, that makes sense. But if you have one candidate that says, what is it, wind causes cancer, and another candidate that says build more windmills, does it make sense? Maybe you should help support the person that at least will get some of your ideas actually implemented.
Well, I agree.
Opposed to making some theoretical stance.
I would say that if I strongly felt like I lined up with most of a major party's candidates, choices, I would probably vote for them. But at least in the last election, personally, I thought they were both loony, and I didn't want either of them to be president. So
yeah, I felt the burn last of the election, and then so did Hillary. But but that's the thing, is that I like to stand for more change. But if there is a candidates that I do agree with more in both the Republican or Democrat, actually more Democrat, but that's where I stand. But if there's neither candidate I'm voting for a third chance, that I can go for, just because I don't want it to be between just two candidates, but there's recognition that there's more choices.
And Green Party was close last time.
Green Party was close to getting it. I think they got 4% of the votes.
Yeah, but Jill Stein was a lunatic and not really a green person.
I know.
She showed her true colors after that election.
Well,
after the election,
there's nothing green about Jill Stein, and she was pretending to be a member of your party.
Yeah.
I would even argue that pretty much anybody who's crazy will show their true colors even after.
Our candidate this year has been a strong Green Party member since he entered politics.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, but it's whatever. Have fun with the Green Party.
Thank you. We will.
Yeah.
I just think that in the current political climate, with the insanity that currently is going on in the White House, as far as I'm concerned, that to vote for someone that can't win.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I understand.
It is a problem, because I think the person in the White House now is dangerous. I think he's more dangerous than Hillary Clinton ever would have been. The worst case scenario with Hillary Clinton would have been 4 more years of what we were having with Obama, which at least would have had, I don't know, a pandemic team in the White House.
I agree.
So
yeah.
So, not to say you are threw your vote away last time, but you kind of did.
Yeah.
And if you knew that your 2 votes could have had Hillary in the White House as opposed to Trump, looking back 3.5 years later, would you have voted Hillary to not have Trump be president?
I see what you're going for, and I think I agree. And you might be changing my vote. I'm not saying officially, but yeah, no, that's the thing is that I do agree with you that Trump has become dangerous.
Yeah.
In this, and I love how even in the state that we're in, Pennsylvania. I'm not afraid to say it. Find us in Pennsylvania.
You already basically told everyone where we live.
Yeah,
so.
I know. But in Pennsylvania, which is, by the way, is a very
It's a big
red
state.
It's a big state.
Yeah.
It's also very red where we
Yes.
are.
Mm-hmm.
But in the past even few months, the Trump supporters have kind of flipped over.
There are whole radio commercials about people who voted for Trump in the last election saying that they will not vote for Trump again.
Yeah. I'm just like, wow, this is bananas. But I do see where you're coming from.
Especially,
bread.
I'm going to say you're in a swing state. I'm in New York. And honestly, my vote, it matters as much as any vote does. But at the end of the day, if I don't know, fell and hit my head and couldn't go vote, I know what way my state's going to go.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Your state's a little different.
It can go
and your
'cause-
votes matter. And right now, I'm going to say it, there's a monster in the White House.
That's true.
And to vote for the Green Party, and I'll say this, I respect your ideals.
Yeah.
I respect the environment. I love the environment. It's great. You can see trees behind me. I love trees.
I see you like trees. Yeah.
I like trees. I'm an avid bird watcher.
You are.
I'm a big fan of the environment. I recycle. I could show you my recycling bin. I think you might even be able to see it behind me.
Yeah.
There's more important things right now.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Than making a point.
Yeah.
I know sounds silly.
No, I agree.
I definitely understand that.
Yeah. And this is coming from Wombats, so I'm more inclined to
sound
listen.
like your dad now.
Yeah.
You saw my kids here. Now I'm everyone's dad.
Yeah.
I telling you what to do.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I agree with you. So now that's over.
Yeah.
Did I ruin your day? I hope I didn't ruin your day.
Oh, my day was far ruined before this.
So we had work before this,
Yeah,
so no.
I work in a restaurant in this pandemic, so trust me, you're telling me how my vote can change is far better than a bunch of Karens telling me that I don't need to wear a mask ever, which... if you want to listen,
not get on that.
If you want to listen to those stories, listen to What's the Biz, our other podcast where I
go on a rant.
I go on a rant of why people don't come with masks on the restaurant.
Yeah.
That's great. But no, I do agree with your point. But now you definitely know where we stand politically.
Yes.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's all about?
It was very informative, especially since the election's coming up very soon.
Probably like
I know we want to talk about games though, so I'm like, there's also video games stuff.
Well, that's where we're going to get into the comments too, but we'll get into it in a little bit. But let's really talk about that. Like, we just had a discussion merely on the idea of, Green Party versus even Democrat right now. Now, why are some people out here just incredibly resentful of any kind of politics in any kind of video games? So we just had a very fine discussion. But it seems like as soon as you put in even a hint of politics in video games, people just get thrown off by it. What do you think?
I think in many ways, it's a commercial thing. It is probably where it starts. Your major publishers, they don't want to say their games are political because they don't want to split their audience. They don't, Mr. Ubisoft doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or a Green Party or a communist or a socialist. He doesn't care. He just wants your $60. And if they were to come out and say, oh yeah, Far Cry 5, that's all about, Republicans are loony. That's what that game's about. Which actually, that game really wasn't if you played it, but it worked for this argument. But if they came out and said, this is what this game is, they're going to lose sales. Whether they're worthwhile sales or not doesn't matter to them.
No, I agree. It's just more of a... What were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna say, but probably on the flip side of that
Oh yeah.
is you probably have people making these games, these the writers of these games
Mhm.
are probably in their minds going, there is some politics involved in this.
Mm.
So I think you have this sort of mixed message of here's our narrative, which is political, but here's our company saying it's not.
I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the thing is that it can be a kindling fire, but it can also be just a blanket statement. You know, it's trying to
Yeah.
spark some kind of controversy to get the sales, but it's also the blanket of politics.
Yeah.
And I think that can start that kind of discussion. I think people can become resentful of that just for the mere of not taking politics seriously, but more of taking it as a sales points. And I think people can catch on to that idea and get a little bit annoyed about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it all depends on what what political means in the game also can have a lot to do with it, and also the game you're playing. I don't think there's anything wrong with a political game. I think there's room in the market. I'm trying to think of any game I've played that's super political, like really political. I mean, maybe BioShock was that the libertarian ideal and the myth of the libertarian. I mean, it's pretty heady. I replayed Portal 2 last week.
Oh yeah.
That game is fairly political. It's about a a weapons contractor that loses his mind and uses human test subjects. There's some politics in there if you want to dissect it, but it's also not like here's a game about politics. So,
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think politics can go, like you just said, a weapons dealer losing his mind, and that can be within politics, right? Politics isn't just, signing bills and going to Congress meetings and wearing a wig, it's more than that. Getting a tan, it's more politics than that, being an Oompa Loompa. I don't know. But that's the thing. But politics stretches more than just, the paper signing, right?
Yeah. I have like a couple different views on this. Was that first, it's for me, if the politics matches the game,
okay,
like if it's part of the game, then that's fine. Like you think Life is Strange season 2 was political.
That was definitely political, yeah.
But it went with the story. That was their life, but it was political. But I don't think that would bother many people because it belongs in the story.
I think it kind of irked a couple people just because
of the side it leaned to.
Right.
But also, I feel like it's more, for me, I hate when it's like punching in the face, like, this is what we believe, where it doesn't really belong in it. They just felt the need to put it in.
Yeah.
And then there's the other side of when it's more metaphorical. Like you think of Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
It's political. It's background. Like it's, when you strip it all down, it's supposed to represent different sides of government. But you can't tell watching the movie until you're showed exactly what everything means.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like for me,
why does
Baum was a big socialist. So
yeah.
So for me, it's like, I think people don't like when there's like strong politics, and because it takes out of that sometimes, like when we've talked about before, the I can't remember the word now, but it's like that, like just sinking into a game and forgetting about the rest of the world. When you have
immersion,
the immersion of the game, because like when you have today's politics with this everything horrible going on, that's not, you're not getting immersed because you're going to a game to forget.
Yeah.
Not to be told, not to be reminded all the horrible things that are happening.
Oh, okay.
And I that's something I agree with. I think, a good example of that for me is I really loved Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yeah.
And in that game, you're a mercenary hired by the U.S. government to take over a South American country. And that is the most right-wing plot line for a video game that you can get.
Yeah.
And I put 70 hours into that game.
Yeah.
So, there is that sort of like, and I would say, that game isn't political, but kind of is.
Yeah.
And it's not only is it political, but it's politics I don't agree with.
Yeah.
But it's also fiction.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
can separate it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't actually go and overthrow a South American country,
Yeah.
but
I would hope not.
Yeah. Wombat
Yeah.
takes over South America. Exposed.
it could happen.
Could happen.
But yeah, so I get it. And then there's the other aspect of politics in games is when people make a game political where it wouldn't have been. 10 years ago, Wolfenstein was not political.
No, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it became political when
Yeah.
all of us, we lived in a world where Nazis needed to have a voice too, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
And then they had to make a statement and go, no, we're anti-Nazi. Like they had to say it. Like, no, this
Yeah.
game is supposed to be. And they're like, well, why is your game so political? I'm like, that's
yeah.
Yeah.
so, it
Yeah.
could get weird. It could get weird is really where I'm
Mhm.
going with that.
Yeah, I think it goes back to your original point when saying that politics can be a selling point. It can be in
Yeah.
terms of companies. It doesn't matter where you are, but sometimes those sales points can get too far, and then you make a slip up because you're too excited about that dollar bill.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes into, and that's I think Wolfenstein did that. And they tried to get a little too political. They slipped up. The illusion was lost, and they had to apologize and actually say, "No, we're anti-Nazi."
Yeah.
How do you get to that point? I
Yeah.
don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But no, and that's exactly it. Is that why are we trying to make it into a sales point when we should be taking like our original discussion?
Mhm.
There is a point to be made in saying that there needs to be a third party, but is this really the time?
Yeah.
And it's especially right now, there comes a time where sales money happens. Without money, Ubisoft doesn't exist. Actually, with recent news, we all wished Ubisoft didn't exist. But is this really the time to be pushing that?
I do, though, have a theory that it's kind of, you're always saying on the podcast how art is reflected by the world. That's what's going on in the world, what's going on in the world. People are getting very political at very young ages.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you're seeing it more like openly in video games because that's what everyone's talking about. That's what's going on in the world is everyone's talking about politics all the time.
Yeah.
So it goes
More
right
than
along with that
ever.
theory. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
More than ever. It's crazy.
I have a 12-year-old cousin who posts not strong politics, but she definitely posts like political type things, like suggesting political type things on her Instagram. And it just fascinates because at 12 I was like, boys, not who's president.
There's studies coming out that's saying that Gen Z is becoming more conservative.
Mm.
And I'm like, how? Well, it's really just because rebellion, because millennials, Gen X, all that, they're leaning liberal so that they're, revising that. They're being rebellious and doing conservative, which is an odd twist.
It's all cyclical. It all comes around.
Yeah.
It comes
And
around.
also, what we consider liberal today will be conservative in 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Bill Clinton today would be a Republican, if you look at what.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we were saying before, it's like, how disgusting is that? You think about human rights. Are you a liberal? It's like, shouldn't that be the main focus here?
Yeah.
At some point, it'll just be what it is, and the issue du jour will be something that we haven't even considered yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably windmills giving you cancer.
Probably.
Probably. So let me ask this. Let me jump into a question real quick. Now, we're talking about politics in video games, and obviously it's being shared. And I do say it all the time on the podcast that because video games are a form of art, and art being the definition of a reflection of what's happening in a time.
Yeah.
And, that's when I made the one video about skateboarding games, and why they're coming back is because skateboarding is coming on the rise again. And it's now,
Yeah.
well, that is what it is. It won't be linked right up here. Who knows? Maybe.
You're so
But going into that, when we're talking about politics now coming into video games, where is the line, right? Where's the line where we're just sharing a political view and really shoving it down your throats, right? Like Wombat, you talked about Wildlands, and I think there was that line that they met because you weren't really too uncomfortable. It didn't feel like it was shoving it down your throat. But what is
No,
it?
you're not killing innocent people. You're not,
Yeah.
you're not going into a village and burning it down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They make sure that there are bad guys. Like, these are bad guys.
Right.
Mhm.
That you're going after. They do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's sort of, that's a good way to draw the line there.
Yeah.
You're not a bad person.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah, like what can a game do to make you feel like it's shoving political views down your throats? Because I don't even think that
Mhm.
Life is Strange 2 did that way.
No, for me, it's mostly when they put it in and it doesn't really go with the story. Like Life is Strange, it went with the story. Detroit
Mhm.
Become Human, it went with the story. It was
Yeah.
part of the story. It
Okay.
was the whole story. But for me, it's when it's like thrown in and it doesn't add anything to the story. And it being gone wouldn't have changed anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, we've talked about that one very political scene in Star Wars.
Okay. Wait, which Star Wars?
And the
Are you talking about?
the one with the casino.
Canto Bite.
Canto.
Yes.
You're talking about Last Jedi and
Yes,
Canto Bite
that
scene.
one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We always
yeah.
some of that. That scene being in there was not entirely important to the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
It was
to
a bit of an
me,
interruption. Yeah.
That's what I mean. So for me, that's when it becomes annoying that politics are in a game or a movie.
Okay.
When it's just in there and it doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
You just felt the need to put it there because you needed everyone to know where you land on the political spectrum.
I think I know where you're coming. When it becomes a commercial break
Yes.
versus a natural flow into the narrative.
Yes.
Okay, I can see that. Wombat, do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's sort of what you don't want. You don't want a Sonic the Hedgehog
Mhm.
to turn to you in the middle of the game and start talking about wage inequality.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
But in a BioShock game, they could probably fold that in there.
Mhm.
What
Exactly,
happened to
yeah.
Rapture? Oh, wage inequality, and everyone
Yeah.
revolted.
yeah.
Oh, okay,
and that
there you
wouldn't
go.
feel so forced. Like, yeah, that can, depending on how you word it, or if someone's really not looking for politics, that might annoy them.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, for me, it being worked into a conversation flowingly, like it works,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't care. You
Yeah.
want to put your political views in it, that's your game. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, are you about to say something, or?
Nope.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt you. You're the guest. I have to, treat the guest as family. But going back on Life is Strange 2. Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, I didn't pre-warn you on this. Most of our audience is Life is Strange fans, and I know you're kind of like, why?
It's not that I've never played it, so
You should.
I don't know.
It's
I
amazing.
guess
Yeah,
that's one of those. That's like a movie game, right?
Yeah.
yeah. I think the very first Life is Strange, you go through the first 20 minutes of the game. Like, I don't know if I'm really into this, and I think the story
The story
progresses
is
well.
what keeps you.
Mm-hmm. It progresses well.
Mm-hmm.
Life is Strange 2, I think it can get. Now I'm thinking about it, I don't really think the political views. And now Life is Strange 2 is very liberal. It's about two young boys who are of a Latino background. And the very first episode, they're being accused of murder because the white neighbor got pushed and he hit a rock. So he's kind of lost his breath. And so there's a police officer. This is all based in 2016
Mhm.
during the riots. And not the riot, well, the other riots.
It was
Man.
before. It was before Election Day.
Yeah. And the police officer shot the Latino father because,
Mhm.
they were accusing of murder, just because
Yeah.
skin color. And the whole game is based off of
Them
racism,
Yeah.
the wall.
Yeah.
They never say Trump's name. They always say,
They refer to him with fun little nicknames.
yeah. And that's the thing. I don't think that Life is Strange 2, even with that strong political view,
Mhm.
I don't think it ever felt like it was shoving ideal down your
No,
throat.
absolutely not.
I think the narrative wasn't smooth.
Oh no,
I think it was very
we've discussed
clunky.
that.
Yeah, I think it was clunky, but I don't think it ever shoved it down your throats.
No.
And I think, the line between that's like, I think what we discussed is one, Wamba made a good point. As long as you're not being compelled to be a bad person,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like a commercial break, like you watch a YouTube video, it's like, oh, we're going to pause right here.
Yeah.
Or like you're listening to a CAGcast and they have to talk about HelloFresh, which I've purchased because of CAGcast once. It's not like that commercial break, and then
Yeah.
we're going into more of the show.
Yeah.
Anything else that's on our minds about can it be pushed too far? I don't think so.
I don't have anything else to say.
So,
Yes.
Oh.
I'm good. Go ahead.
I'm going to get into, since we're on our halfway mark, a little bit over actually, I want to read some social media answers. So I asked you on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, what are your views on political video games?
Fix the camera, could you?
Yeah, it's great because the DSLR, it only records at
It
30
records up to like 24 minutes.
Yeah. And so we have one answer on Instagram from More365, who is part of the Retro Gamers podcast, who also goes to Long Island Retro. Rest in peace for this year.
What was it? You tapped your nose.
Rest in peace.
Well, you could still forget. You could watch all of the shows via Uplink.
Uplink.
You could get a link. You could get all the information at Cheap Ass Gamer or LongIslandRetro.com. We're doing a live show next Saturday.
Oh,
Our
okay.
15th anniversary show is next Saturday. The only way to see it is to go to the Long Island Retro.
I was so upset because I work weekends now, and I almost bought tickets, and I was like, I work weekends, but good on me.
Woohoo.
But yeah, definitely check out Uplink. It's definitely worthwhile. 15th anniversary, 15 years of CAGcast. That's mind blowing.
I know I was young once. That's all I can think about is when I'm like, oh my God, I was in my 20s.
Oh my goodness. We're all gonna get there
To
someday.
be in my 20s again.
So we have from More365 who says, I say, how do you feel about politics in video games? And he says, keep it out! ! I don't care what side you're on, who you back, who you support. Politics. This is where I disagree. Politics, like religion, is too ugly to include in video games, and it's too polarizing nowadays. And I disagree that politics and religion are hand in hand, because I feel like politics, you live in the country where politics exist.
Yeah.
Now, I was about to say, but the religion doesn't run the country, but some might argue against that. But in terms of the broader picture, I think that's, the politics do run your country. But what do you think about that?
I don't think you every game at its core, well, not every game. Many games at their core are political, whether they want to be or not.
Yeah.
Call of Duty is political, even if they say it isn't. And by saying it isn't, that makes it even more political.
Yeah.
But, if you're, anytime you're playing as the army shooting anybody, there's that already, there's a big political question there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard to just say no politics ever, when sometimes politics is just inherent in the type of game that exists.
Yeah.
Even Madden is political now.
Wait, how so?
It's just
yeah.
The NFL is a political hot button topic.
It is.
That's true. Yeah, because now they just come out that Madden 21, it will be referred to as the Washington team in Madden 21. It's no longer called...
Because they don't have a name right now.
Yeah, it's just going to be referred to the Washington team.
They won't update it when they get a name?
I'm sure they will.
They will.
Okay.
They'll update.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm like...
It's Madden.
And I like Madden, so
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. But yeah, so I mean, I guess I don't know. Is Destiny political? Maybe not. I'm not saying every game is politics. Sonic the Hedgehog, I guess, is not political.
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers, very political.
Red and green. Hey, Green Party, Luigi.
There you go.
Hey,
Yeah.
tied it all together.
It's all about, blue collar versus white collar, royalty. It's all about the caste system. There's a lot going on
Yeah.
in that Super Mario Brother game.
It's deep.
So
For me,
yeah, it's deep.
it's like, kind of like he said, it's at its core, everything is almost political, because for like the way I think about it, especially politics and religion, that's what kind of makes you who you are. Where you fall religiously, where you fall politically, it's what makes up your morals and your personality.
Right.
So when you're writing a story for a game, you're going to go off of more of who you are, what you think of, whether you're doing it subconsciously or consciously. So yeah, I believe that at its core, it's going to be in every game, whether they show it like outright or not. It's going to show that person's ideals, unless they're trying to be out of the box, and then they're just doing the opposite of their ideals.
Yeah.
But it's still, to me, it'll always be somewhat political or religious.
Yeah, it really just comes down to as if you, the player, want to see it or not.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
When I play Ghost Recon, I'm not thinking about politics.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to. It may be there, but it's not inherent to the game, but it does exist. Same thing with Madden. It's not inherent. It's not a game about kneeling during the national anthem.
Yeah.
But if I want to have this conversation, if I want to think about that while playing, I mean, that's up to me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. So politics is always going to be part of it. It's just a matter of whether you care or not, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
How much effort you're willing to put into caring.
See, that's the thing. We say that all the time. Is that like it just takes so much effort to be a hateful person.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm too tired, man.
Yeah.
Like I got too many bills
just
to pay.
play the game.
Yeah. So then we got a comment from Santa's Smartest Elf.
I already like them.
Who say that video games are a form of artistic expression and therefore are necessarily political 100% of the time. The choice to present as apolitical is a political choice, one that supports and affirms the status of the status quo. This is not a debate, it is the basic premise of considering art. So I don't know what to think about that, because that's the thing. Because they're an art form, they're necessarily political 100% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much what I just said, just in different words.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It just makes you up. Yeah.
This is because you have to say people, when you say religious, they're primarily thinking Christian.
Yeah.
But religious is religion. Any religion that you practice, that's religious. Yeah. Atheism is still religious. If that's what you're promoting, you're still promoting your quote unquote religion. That's
another discussion. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so I feel like we're kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Because
the
art expression, you're expressing what's in you. And if what's in you is a Democrat, well, that's the ideals that are going to show up in your game, whether it's not a political game or not.
Yeah. Wombat, do you have any thoughts on this?
I agree with Liz mostly. I mean, that's basically it. The only difference you have with games that I don't think that you don't have with, say, even movies and definitely not books, is there are a lot of hands in video games.
Oh, yeah.
And there are people coming in and out the door with video games more so than movies tend to have one director who has one singular vision. And, one writer, a book has a writer, and there's a voice.
Yeah.
And games don't generally have a voice for one person. It does happen. Obviously, there are smaller games that are made by smaller teams that have that. But, as you get to these larger games, even, your Assassin's Creeds, like, it's Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you could read all about the conflict that went on where they only wanted to have the one female protagonist. And the bosses were like, no, we need to have a male protagonist. You got to have both. And so, that's sort of where politics and vision and the art all butt heads at the end of the day for that, for business.
Yeah.
So
especially, I like that you point out the bigger companies, because there are different things and they need to do what's best for the whole company. So if they only have one gender in there, then you're going to be bothering the other gender, and then you're not going to make as many sales.
Yeah.
So it's like that, like back and forth, which even though the game might not be political, the way it was put together was a political move.
Yeah. And we all know about the workplace politics as well. Like,
yeah. We talked about that last week.
Yeah. So I'm going to put two of the replies together. And by the way, y'all need to chill. It's like, I love you all, but like brief tweets. These are 4 replies each. So I'm just going to read partially from these 2 tweets. So we got Commander Nikki. I'm going to read 2 of your 4 tweets.
I knew one of them would be her.
I love you so much, but I love you. But It depends on what you consider political, because when I think back to some angry poo-poo heads, she says, that screamed, keep your politics out of your games, when the dialogue of a trans character was adjusted to be more trans-friendly in Mass Effect Andromeda, I'm taken back by the stupidity. The second tweet I'll read is that, and I think human rights stuff shouldn't be considered political. Black Lives Matter, trans and gay rights, man and woman equality, etc. Sure, they're handled by politicians, but they shouldn't be, in my opinion. What even is political? War? Yes. Overthrowing oppressive regimes? Yes. And the other reply I want to put together is that agreeing with Commander Nikki, saying representation is not politics. It shouldn't be. It's just human lives that are diverse, and I don't like the implication that every minority character should just shut up and keep silent about their minority identity. It does too much good for the communities that those characters represent. And he says, beyond that, personally, I wouldn't tell developers that what they should put in a game or what they shouldn't put in a game. That's just a brief summary of what they said.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to, go on Twitter.
The second person you didn't say.
Oh, Andrew Orsi.
I was right.
Yeah, Andrew
I
Orsi.
was guessing in my head who wrote the 2 long tweets.
Yeah, no, it was Andrew.
Those two. I was
yeah,
right.
Commander Nikki and Andrew. Love you both, but I'm just gonna end it there. But yeah, the whole theme and why I put those two together is that they really want to say that representation shouldn't be political. As soon as you put into trans, gay rights, LGBTQ plus, and it's like, oh, it's politics. Like, should representation really be a political issue?
No.
What do you think?
That's a pretty hard line. No, representation isn't political.
Yeah.
And when someone tries to make it political, that's more of an issue than the politics itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing we're seeing right now, unfortunately, with science. Science isn't politics.
Yeah.
But science has become politics.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it really has more to do with money than anything else. But that's a whole other topic for a whole other show. But no, representation, we just talked about it with Assassin's Creed, having a female protagonist. I do think, and not only that, but there was, if you played as the male protagonist, you could sleep with other men in that game. So, which I thought was actually very interesting, especially now knowing how much pushback there was to have a male character in the game.
Yeah.
If they put that in there and tried to, as sort of we'll have your male character in the game.
And no, I completely think that's true. I mean, we talked about that in another podcast,
and for the record, when I played that game, I played as the male character, and I slept with every man I could find.
We're just gonna clip that, and we're just gonna just spread that.
I slept with every man. It's fine.
But yeah, no, it's and that's the thing, is that you can play Assassin's Creed the way you want to, and I don't think that's political. We talked about that with representation in games and how important that is, and we talked with that with Rainbow Road podcast about that. And to kind of gatekeep like that, oh, you're just making it political. No, we're just making sure that all humans are represented and that they feel welcome into the community.
Yeah, I don't think that and the word went away. Representation is, I don't think that should be political. I think, unfortunately, it is. Yeah. Because politicians comment on it, it becomes political, just like science. They're starting to comment on it, that makes it political.
Well,
and you'll have people who lean another way who wouldn't play a game because it has that in it. Yeah.
Well, that's what Commander Nikki said. And by the way, Nikki lives in Germany, so I can't imagine the politics for LGBTQ plus are going for. But like she said, that LGBTQ plus rights are handled by politicians. Yeah. So I guess in that way it's political, but the representation of those people shouldn't be political. Yeah. But the right, I don't know.
Well, that's what I mean. Whereas it's unfortunate that it is.
That it is.
It is. Showing representation in games is considered political because right now in politics, one side is good with it and wants it and the other side does not. So that's why it makes it political, because not everyone is agreeing on both sides.
Which is beyond.
Which is crazy. But
It's
again, that's the
insane.
kind of thing we were just talking about. I'm convinced that in 10 years it won't be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, gay marriage and was 10 years before this.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it's wild to me. But that's the thing is that, and even what Andrew Orsi said, and I think we'll go into our closing thoughts now. And I
Mhm.
think Andrew Orsi said it best when before I cut his tweet off, but when he said that he doesn't want to tell people what they should and shouldn't put
Yeah.
into their game,
Yeah.
especially in an indie game. If it's an
Mhm.
indie game,
Definitely.
you put in what you want.
Yeah.
And I think doing our closing thoughts here, politics, when you live at least in America, I don't know how things are in
Yeah.
Germany or Canada because I don't live there. I only hear about what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
But in America, especially in this time and day, like what Wombat was telling me, why are you making a point of getting Howie Hawkins into office when you could be ending a monster's reign?
Yeah.
But yep, this podcast has become political. But
Just for a couple episodes.
in terms of that, everything is political right now.
Yeah.
Everything. And I think that's when we talk about the importance of discussion.
Mhm.
I think video games are a good kindling fire to that. They are
Yeah.
not the change your mind kind of thing, but it's one of those things that, like,
They make you think.
yeah, I would hope that a video game that wants to represent politics wants to make you think and not just
Mhm.
shoving it down your throat, but at least making you think about it.
Mhm.
And I think video games are an important medium because a lot of people are playing video games right now.
Yeah.
It's an important way to have that kind of discussion spark.
Mm-hmm.
Wombat, what are your closing thoughts on that?
I think. Now I have to think of something like deep and important to say at the
That's
end
how
of the
I
show.
feel at the end of every show. And I'm just like, things.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
Top
say
that,
this
Wombat.
one. If I change both your votes, then I've done the right thing today.
There you
That's
go.
thing number one. Then I know my work is done. On the video game realm, I think it would be very interesting because I don't think there's ever really been a truly political, like,
Mhm.
major release game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are political indie games. I don't want to get into that semantics argument,
Mhm.
but a major release game, that
AAA
puts
title.
politics
Yeah.
right on their sleeve. I would be very interested. I don't know what that would be
Mhm.
or what it would be about or how it would even work.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard in an entertainment medium that, for better or worse, is sort of focused on shooting people in the face. How do you, where is the line of politics there? That's
Yeah.
the other thing. Is like, how do you get your point across
Mhm.
in a way that's meaningful
Yeah.
when the core tenet of most games is murder? So
Yeah. And I think, like what you said, Wombat, as you were talking about that, how do you make a AAA? I immediately thought about your other point when saying that there's just so many hands at AAA studios that
Mhm.
it's kind of like disagreeing with that.
Mhm.
Whereas, working in a major company, trying to get your point across is a little bit, of a droplet.
It would literally have to be the point of the game from the beginning. Maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe if it was like Hamilton the game,
Yeah.
maybe something like that. could
No.
work.
That would be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, right? You got to pick the
I-
right line to rap.
Oh,
You
geez.
gotta pick, like, where do you go? Who do you? But then again, that could also be very boring.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing.
Yeah.
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 How do you make that not boring?
Mm-hmm. And I just think that so many hands are in it that you can't
Yeah.
really all agree. Whereas an indie title,
It's a lot easier to make it whatever you want.
but like what you said, Wombat, like a AAA where it's supposed to reach the masses
Mhm.
and it's all about shooty and, NFL and assassinating and Ghost
Yeah.
of Tsushima and all that. How do you make that reach the masses when you have the masses developing it? It's a little difficult to even fathom that,
Yeah.
Liz, any closing thoughts?
For me, it just all goes back to my original statement of don't punch me in the face with your political stuff.
Or literally.
Well, I'd prefer you not punch me in the face ever, like literally. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure everyone kind of prefers that.
Mhm.
Speak for yourself.
But for me, like, I love more metaphorical, or as long as it works in the story. I really love Detroit Becoming Human, and if you really look at it, if you're looking, like, I wasn't looking for politics in it, but I noticed it,
Mm-hmm.
and it for me, I look to learn things from certain games and certain movies, which is why I enjoy watching like based on true story movies.
Yeah.
Because I learn things. But but for me, like something like Detroit Becoming Human, it kind of like helps me understand more when I see certain situations. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it just helps me learn more and understand a little better.
Because you're in that first person perspective.
Exactly.
Like you're playing as a person trying to say like, hi, I'm a person.
Yeah.
Also, but you know.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of helps open your eyes a little bit. Like, I will never say I understand.
But like I said, it's that little sparkle, that little kindling fire for the bigger picture.
And I think that's a good way to do it. You get people to play just this really awesome game.
Yeah.
But it does put that little spark in your head like, oh, is this how people feel?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's my thoughts.
Yeah. No, I think that's it's a good way. Wombat, any other closing thoughts before we close out?
I think I'm good. This has been fun.
You can say nope. I do that all the time to him.
No, this has been a lot of fun. I think it's been interesting. I never get to talk about this kind of nonsense on my show. So
yeah, I know. Like that again. That's why I wanted you and not Cheapy. Don't tell him.
Oh my goodness.
Don't you be telling Cheapy. I know he's going to hear it, but but no, that's the thing is that I definitely wanted to have you on just to speak about what you're passionate about. It's the politics and also minority in video games. But he has the minor and he has the major. The major in politics and them. But
gotcha.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Good job.
Yeah, or until the end of the podcast. But no, this has been a fantastic discussion. Wombat, again, it's been such an honor to even have you on. I can't even tell you.
Pleasure's mine.
Yeah. I can't even tell you enough of how much joy I've had over the years of you just ripping Cheapy apart, especially with table tennis. I just absolutely loved it. And when the first time, I think I got to tell you this. When the first time I saw you, right, at Long Island Retro, I knew you were coming and I was up on the balcony because I was just like, oh, I wonder if, and I looked down from the balcony and I'm like, I wonder if they're here.
And you guys had like just walked in.
Yeah. And I'm just like trying to be chill. I'm like, oh, they're people just like me. And I immediately see you and just, I was
fangirled everywhere.
And I was like, oh my God, that's Wombat. And I just I left Liz behind. It was just such a mess. And then I said to you like, hey, Wombat, I remember when you called me an idiot on your show, but man, it's
things happen.
Like I said,
I call lots of people idiots.
I call him an idiot at least once a day.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's been such an honor to even have you on my show. So, but
our show.
On my show. But I'm an only child. I should preface that. But Wombat, where can we find you on Twitter? Where can we harass you? How can we find you?
I'm at New Wombat on Twitter. That's NEWWOMBAT. And also listen to the CAGcast. We do that live on Twitch. That's Cheap Ass Gamer channel on Twitch every Thursday at 9, except this week where we're doing the show via Long Island RetroCon.
Yeah.
Our 15th anniversary show.
Man.
So check that out as well. And thanks again for having me. This was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, again, thank you for being on, man. This is such a good conversation, dude. So, again, we thank you for listening. Definitely check out the CAGcast. It's such a fantastic show. And with all that said and done, follow us on Twitter at Gaming Groceries. You can follow us on Instagram, Games Groceries, all one word. And we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We'll hope to see you in the next one. And have a good week.
Bye.